says I am live. Welcome. Let's have some Friday night fun. Thank you all for joining the live chat. Kyle, I'm live now, so the anticipation for the live is ended, but the anticipation for the question is still going to remain because, well, that's just because it's fun. Abdul A says, "How are humans supposed to be?" We're actually in a chat about like Arnold Schwarzenegger and these extremely jacked bodybuilders that are unnatural. Humans just aren't supposed to be disgustingly huge like that. Like there's a certain amount of bulking up that is natural. But you're never going to get the look that these inverts get without doing what they do, which is testosterone, steroids, working out. Some of them can even have implants. I don't believe that Arnold Schwarzenegger's are implants. I actually think that she like spent a lot of time in the gym working out, and kind of one of those things where she's like trying to make up for something else by being like really big. So yeah. Hi David D, how's it going? Wow, looking great, really tanned. Yeah, I actually noticed this morning that my face was burnt. Can't really see it with these lights, but yeah, that is what happens when you spend all day on the mountain, which is kind of what I wanted to talk about tonight. I wanted to get the full moon chit chat out of the way, and then on Sunday we can talk about something else. So yes, I actually went up on the mountain I was up there just after noon for an event that they always usually start around sundown. So yeah, I'm gonna wait just a second. Oh, we got a lot of people watching already, so that's awesome. What is the ideal human physique? Well, it really just depends. I'm not really here to talk about that, but it's definitely not attained through the standard American diet. We'll just leave it at that for now. Hi, Chris. How's it going? Chris says, hello, Queen. Abdul A says, cut out seed oils and you won't burn. I actually, well, I guess I might eat some products that have seed oils in them, but usually I don't consume seed oils other than that. But I think that actually being acidic in general can cause you to burn. That being said, I have been trying to basically just eat fruit, except for when I was preparing for my event. I obviously had to make all of this delicious food and, of course, try it. So, people really did love the food. I never really know how to plan for these events because sometimes, like, there are less people up there, and then sometimes, like, there are a whole bunch of people up there. It's kind of hard to judge, and it depends on the season. It kind of depends on the weather and what other things are going on. So this evening, which was actually Wednesday evening, the community at large was up at the same place that I was. And anyways, I basically got up there around noon to set up all of my stuff. And as I was setting up, it was actually really funny. Oh no, Kyle says I'm fuzzy and I'm using HD camera. Boo. I actually just called before I went live as well, and I like had them add high speed internet, like give me more, give me more. So that really sucks that it is fuzzy. I apologize for that. So what was I talking about here? I went up there around noon and started setting up. Obviously, it's like a first come, first served thing. So I go up there early to claim the space. And as I'm setting up, usually people come and talk to me. And one of the first people that I talked to, basically, I said that we were having a vegan full moon celebration to make sure that the mountain isn't corrupted. And he was kind of like, oh, well, his voice, like, he was not proud of his actions, clearly, because if you're proud of your actions, you're going to, like, you're gonna say them with confidence, but instead he's like, oh well, I kind of have an admission. I'm keto. I don't really eat too much meat, but it's mainly just eggs and cheese. And I was like, well, you should really look into where those come from. And he said, well, I live on a farm, so I know where they come from. And I was like, well, bird droppings aren't, made for human consumption, and the cow's tit secretions are for their babies. So that he basically just walked away. That was the end of the conversation. So it was pretty funny. David D says, forced veganism at the root, first demonstration of principle. Exactly. I'm basically going to kind of ignore the live chat for right now. Like, especially the other comments. Abdullah A, I'll answer some other questions and stuff after we get through this, but I kind of want to stay on task and tell you about the event that happened. So the next person that came up, I think these people were already up there, and I was kind of worried about fighting for the space with them, but thankfully I didn't have to fight. And after the Forest Service came up, they came up and asked me, what the verdict was. And I actually wanted to play the Forest Service interaction with you because it was really funny. So let me plug it in. Hey, Cindy, how's it going? Hopefully you're doing well. It's actually going to play this short recording as a pretty short conversation with the Forest Service. Usually as I'm setting up the Forest Service, even the police, the fire department might come and talk to me. And basically I'm putting on this event. I'm the one that just spent all this time, all this money, making all of this food, setting up this buffet and all of this stuff. And I'm the one that's going to be cooking the food, and I'm going to be the one that starts the fire. So I'm the one that is ultimately responsible if something goes wrong at this event. So hope this isn't too loud. Okay. I'm not sure that they knew that I was recording, but the whole time it was like the weather was really bizarre. It would go from like really windy to still. And when it was really windy, it was too cold. And when it was still, it was too hot. So I went from like hoodie on to hoodie off with my sports bra on only underneath. And wouldn't you know that these guys waited to come and talk to me until I took my hoodie off. And that was funny. Thank you, Kyle, again. For my new vegan hoodie. That's the one that I wore on the mountain. So it was pretty cool. It says, if you hurt animals, I'll hurt you. Sorry, I'm not. Here they come.
How you doing?
Good, how are you?
All right. I'm Officer Jabroni with the
Yes.
Service. Are you planning on using these grills today?
I am.
Yeah. Have you seen the fire restriction order?
I mean, aren't there propane? It's like not even an open.
Right. So
he was telling me that I wasn't allowed to use my propane stoves. Every time I'm up there, I'm like, you might not be allowed to have an open fire, but you're allowed to use a camping stove, a portable camping stove, where basically there's a metal frame around any of the flame. There's never any spark. There's no chance that this propane stove could possibly cause a forest fire. Even if I set it on high blast, took the cover off and went and held it towards the tree, like held it on a tree, it's not going to set the forest on fire. So anyone who agrees with this nonsense isn't actually using their brain. And remember, we're only having a conversation about the propane stove. We're not talking about the actual fire that I always have at the event. So
actually, I have it right here for you if you want to see it. So because of the high fire danger rating, even these are not authorized. So like those signs are posted all year, but the with the fire order in place, these are not okay. Not to rain on your parade, but
what happens if I use them anyways?
You'd be subject to fine, and then we would have you leave.
Okay.
Are you catering an event tonight, or?
Well, we come up here like every full moon to have a celebration. So,
okay.
I have prepared like a bunch of, well, it's not up here yet, it's in the refrigerator still, but I have
Yeah.
like a bunch of food and stuff that I bring up and share with everybody.
Yeah, if you could heat it up at a different location.
Well, they're little mini burgers, vegan burgers that I made, so I heat them up as people come and actually get them.
Okay. Yeah.
Freshly prepared, duh.
The refrigerator, is there a way to cook them there and then bring
The
them
what?
up? Like where they're in the fridge now? Is there a
Yeah.
way you could like cook them there and then you could bring them up here?
Oh, they'd be cold and they wouldn't be like edible. I don't know, to eat
Yeah.
a burger that was cooked in weed and then brought all the way up into Mount Shasta. So.
Okay. All right. And then how much do you sell the plates for?
I don't sell anything. Everything that I do is because people should eat for free. This needs to change the world, and this is how I'm doing it. So
okay, yeah, one meal at a time, right?
I'm trying. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So we're gonna be around all night. What's your first name?
Inanna.
Inanna. All right. Yeah. So I talked to you. I can give you the order if you want. You want the order?
I will take it.
Okay.
But yeah. Can't promise I'm gonna follow it.
All right. Yeah, like I said, we'll be around. You know, you can count this as like an official notification. Like, I mean, I'm sure there's a way you could work it out. You know, feeding people is important. Yeah. If you have any questions,
it's just ridiculous because these fires, they don't even barely light the things that are literally on top of them. They don't spark. This is stupid. Do you agree with this government tyranny? Especially when the wildfires are completely controlled. We already know this.
Yeah. I'm just a cog in the wheel.
I know, but is that what your soul came here to do? Is that what your soul came here to do? This dictatorship, this anti-human tyranny?
Yeah. I mean, you can always write a letter.
No, I'm asking you personally, though, because you were saying that you're just a cog in the wheel, but is this what your soul came here to do?
Yeah.
You really came to this earth to make the world bad for humans.
Well, I think property being destroyed and people dying and wildfires and, you know, all the wild land taken in the fires, sure, absolutely.
This is the safest place, literally, in the whole area to do a fire.
Right.
And these don't even create fire to light anything else. It's just, you have to, deep inside, you have to have some cognitive dissonance because what you're doing is not even constitutional.
All right, well, it sounds like agreed to disagree. I've notified you, and like I said, we'll be around, so be safe, okay?
Okay, so that was the end of that. I definitely was laughing at the end of that conversation, but they were like telling me that I couldn't use my propane stoves. So I was basically acting under the impression that that was the case, and basically waiting for them to leave to do what I was going to do anyways. And these people, the Forest Service, like came up, they walked all the way up the hill, which they like never do. They came down and they were like chatty Cathy's with everybody. Then finally they came around and like, I thought that they were leaving, and these little kids came up to me and they're like, are the burgers ready yet? And so I'm like, if I'm going to get cited and get kicked off the mountain, I'm going to say, Your Honor, well, first of all, this judge better be vegan or else they're not going to be judging me because I'm going to throw a fit. And basically say, Your Honor, I was using the propane stove to feed children. So if you're really going to cite me for feeding children on the mountain in a completely safe environment, with a completely safe stove, then that is something that I will, let's go to court, So Kyle, he actually wasn't overweight. Yeah, it was really sad. I thought that he might be a real human. These lower levels are filled by real humans, and that's why I kind of tried to relate to him on a soul level. It's like, did your soul come here for this? So like this is not it. Exactly, David D. He said, yeah, it just doesn't even make any sense. So, like I said, I actually didn't even wait for them. I was originally going to wait for them to leave to do everything, but because these children came up and asked me to cook, I actually forgot to mention something else, but I will go back to it later. I started cooking anyways, and then eventually someone came up and brought these other two guys from the Forest Service, like they were different from the guys before, telling me that that wasn't the order and that I was allowed to use the propane stoves. It's like, you guys can't even like get your story straight. What is the situation here? And obviously we, respect the mountain. We actually do respect the mountain. We might not respect bogus orders from those that are, you know, infringing on our rights. But it's not disrespectful to the mountain to have a vegan celebration up there. Now, if they were having a barbecue up there, if they were roasting the flesh of innocents, I would definitely say that they are disrespecting the mountain. So your perspective on it is definitely, uh, different, especially as a vegan who understands that these forest fires are, set intentionally. Like, they set the forest on fire, and then, as you heard this guy say, oh, well, all of these wildfires justify the lockdowns. They cause the problem to have this solution come about. So, anyways, just to remind, I actually, um before that happened, well, it was actually after the first Forest Service left, and these guys came up and said, what's going to happen? And I'm basically like, I'm probably going to do what I want anyways. And this guy stuck around and started talking about having a squirrel problem, which, Kyle, I apologize ahead of time. You will definitely not like this story. But he said that he had a squirrel problem, and he actually killed and ate the squirrels that were causing problems at his house. And I obviously kind of made a cringy face, and he's like, oh, well, he's honoring these animals. And I'm just like, when you honor the deceased, you lay them to rest. You maybe cremate them. You definitely don't eat them. When you love your pet, when you respect and cherish your pet, you don't eat it when it dies. Like that, there's some really twisted wires there with this whole concept of, eating the animal is honoring it in some way. And then he goes on to talk about his friend that like hit a deer and hung the deer head on the wall with the same, oh, it's honoring the deer to, put its head on the wall. I'm like, if I cut your head off and put it on the wall, is that honoring you, or is that psychopathic? Because that's psychopathic. And yeah, he didn't like that conversation. So it's very interesting to get into conversations on Mount Shasta. A lot of these people think that they are, spiritual and, all about love and light. And then you see that they consume the flesh of innocents. They hang animal heads on their wall. They do these things that they've been programmed to do that are straight up demonic, and they just like, there's like a disconnect there that they really just don't get. Am I an anarchist? No, I'm an anti-anarchist. I am a monarchist, and I am the queen. Will you be voting? No. Both sides are always controlled, and I do not consent to being ruled over by satanic inverts. So, anyways, my friend Jason's birthday was on the 29th, so I actually gave him the Gospel of the Holy 12 as a part of his birthday gift. And I'm super excited about that because anyone who knows me knows that this book is what changed my life. I love this book. And he actually gave me 2 books that you can already see here that I have some bookmarked, and it'll become a lot relevant more later once I tell you the story of what happened at midnight during the full moon celebration. And then I happened to open the book the next day and turn right to a scripture that related to it. So that was really cool. So anyways, after Kyle has the Gospel of the Holy 12. Well, that's good to know because I was thinking of buying it for you for your birthday, and now I won't. I'll have to buy something else. Well, as one part of the gift. So anyways, basically after I got the go ahead with the propane stove, the Forest Service, it was like dark by then, and the Forest Service kind of disappeared. Well, to be honest, I didn't even really, it was dark, so I really didn't look that well around. But I kind of took control of the crowd and said, make sure that it's vegan and we'll have a good night. And once they leave, we're going to start this fire. And I was just like, oh, I guess maybe I didn't realize if they left or not. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. But anyways, once I walked to the parking lot. I gave them a little while, and I had to do all this cooking because once I open up the buffet, everyone wants to eat. People want to chat and all this stuff. And finally, I went into the parking lot to see if they were gone, and they were. And when I came back to the fire pit, the community, well, I'm not really sure if it was the community or one Lilithian individual who kind of took charge of it. Well, actually, that's kind of was the case, but I just don't know if the community donated. Anyways, my whole point is that someone basically started putting candles in the middle of the fire pit, and when I went to into the parking lot, there was one candle in on this rock she was setting up, and when I came back, there was like a plethora of candles just set up, and it was actually really, like, it looked nice, so I kind of felt bad about what I was going to do. But I was pretty intent on having a fire. It is the ceremonial fire that we have under the full moon every time that we go up there. And it gets cold up there. So we like a fire is just something that we need to have. So yeah, anyways, when I came back around the thing, I was kind of surprised. I was like, oh, well, I was actually going to start a fire. And the one girl that was trying to take charge basically was saying, oh, we've done candle fires before. It works really well. And I'm just like, well, that's nice. But, I am the one that set all of this up. And like, I'm not just, this is my setup. I'm not just going to let you, like, this is my thinking. And that's ultimately why I'm like, I really have to. I don't really care how many people in this mob stand against me doing it. The very principle of the matter is that I'm the one that set up this whole buffet and spent hundreds of dollars to do all of this. This is my event. If you want to have a little candle ceremony, go to any other fire pit on this mountain. Like, go away. You can have any other one, but you can't have this one. So that was pretty fun. I basically, how can we improve your Wi-Fi? I tried to actually improve it, like I said, right before I went on here. So I guess it didn't work. But anyways, my friend Jason and I grabbed these really large logs, and basically I started the fire really quick and started throwing like really large logs on. And everything with the fire was completely safe, even though, this Lilithian character was like, the only thing that's going to result in is them coming up here and putting it out and all this stuff. And I'm just like, if anyone gets in trouble, it's going to be me. So don't worry about it. And yeah, so when you have these kind of interactions, people want to try to say that, I was disrespecting the mountain by doing what I did. And like I already said before, having a vegan full moon celebration where we talk about the golden age and we get closer to that golden age is exactly what that mountain wants. If you think otherwise, then you yourself are not connected to her. Not only her, Mount Shasta, but Mother Earth wants a golden age. Like, we need a golden age. All of us need it to continue going. So if you think otherwise, then you really don't know what the situation is. So other than that, the crowd actually was pretty large too. So I'm glad that, I mean, it was a mixed crowd of who wanted the fire and who didn't. But thankfully, the people that basically didn't want the fire after I lit it, they left. They assumed that the Forest Service was going to come back up, and thankfully they didn't. I mean, I was basically like, oh man, as soon as I turn this fire, turn my propane stove or turn the fire on, like, I'm going to basically have to pack up all of this stuff and leave. And like, I really was kind of dreading having to do that because I really wanted to, serve people and put on the event. So thankfully that didn't happen. Um, but yeah, other than that, the most kind of exciting part comes at midnight, where I have to try to get this crowd of drummers to be quiet so that I can say a prayer. And I actually had practiced more of a speech this time, because I essentially do want these, full moon celebrations to be something impactful and spiritual. And I actually asked this guy named Hoot and a guy, my friend Jason that I mentioned before, if they would like to speak after me at midnight. And well, that definitely could have gone better, which I'll talk about in a second. Jason did great. I basically talked about the golden age in veganism, and he followed it up with talking about veganism and basically animal liberation being the key to human liberation, which it is. If only half of humans would go vegan, we could have a golden age. But because humanity as a species, as a whole, the majority is consenting to this whole farming circle of life false reality that the farmers of humans want them to be in. Because if you farm the animals, they can farm you, right? Um, we have to consent to say no to that. We have to say, no, we're not doing that. It doesn't matter how many anti New World Order posts that you post online. You have to actually stop doing what is fueling the New World Order, which is mainly your diet. 3 plus times a day, people are eating death and destruction of innocence. So, yes, that was basically my main point, and Jason did a great job of following me up with that. And then, unfortunately, my direction of what we were supposed to be discussing, I guess, wasn't conveyed very well, because the next speech was about nonviolence. And the most hilarious part is that I'm standing there with "hurt animals and I'll hurt you" on my shirt. And then someone that I picked to speak basically comes and talks about nonviolence. I'm like, oh, crud. Uh, that, yeah, that did not work out so well. And then the floor was handed to somebody else, because that was a request from Hoot, who also talked about nonviolence. And then they opened the floor to everyone else, which wasn't my intent either. And then the next person talked about nonviolence, and I'm just biting my tongue the whole time. And finally, this guy just randomly gets up and is like, "Violence is our gift. There are bad people in this world that need to be punished." And I'm just like, "Yeah, I agree with you." I basically let it rip after that, because I was trying to be respectful for the first few people, and then it kind of went out of hand. But obviously that can happen. This is real life, and there are also a bunch of agents and assets and inverts that are around that want to do exactly this, basically say, "Oh, let me share," and then take the floor off in a completely different direction than anything that I would ever promote. So it was really hilarious, though, that I had the "hurt animals and I'll hurt you" shirt on, because that's extremely violently aggressive, and they're talking about nonviolence. But that kind of leads it to this, because in this book here, I flipped right to this text. It's chapter 2, text 31. And it says, considering your specific duty as a kshatriya, I'm not really sure how to pronounce that, but it means one who gives protection from harm. So I really love that. So basically, considering your specific duty as one who gives protection from harm, you should know that there is no better engagement for you than fighting on religious principles, and there is no need for hesitation. And this next one says, if, however, you do not fight this religious war, then you will certainly incur sins for neglecting your duties and thus lose your reputation as a fighter. And then the final one here says, either you will be killed on the battlefield and attain basically the heavens, but this says the heavenly planets. And obviously we we're talking about the erratic stars, and especially, in other mythologies, this place called Valhalla, this place where warriors go who die in battle. Basically, it's the same concept that you'll attain the heavens for being killed in on the battlefield, or you will conquer and enjoy the earthly kingdom. Therefore, get up and fight with determination. Like, yeah, that's awesome. So, um, what is this person talking about in the chat? Thank you, David D. We're not having any perverts here. So, anyways, I thought that was really awesome, especially how I opened it up right the next day, right after that just happened. Obviously, I believe that, sometimes violence is necessary, especially in cases when there are innocents being abused. Like my mama bear claws come out, and, I am happy to stand in front of my creator someday for being the justice or karma for somebody else. You have to realize that your deeds are going to have um, consequences and be prepared to face them. That's one of the things that mainstream Christianity is lacking. Obviously, this whole concept of, being covered in innocent blood and believe in Jesus and you're good to go. And they basically just act like, well, they act like everybody else in this world pretty much. So, yes. So what else happened? Oh yeah, to actually get control of the people at midnight, I warned them multiple times. I actually warned them in my beginning, everything is vegan and I'm going to be making a speech at midnight and whatever. And then a few minutes before midnight, I told them again, like it was probably 15 minutes before, and there was like a natural break in the drum. So I said, just so everyone knows, I'm going to be saying a prayer. If you need to carry on, go somewhere else. Like if you can't be quiet while the person who put on this event and fed you says a few words, then leave. Like be a grown adult. um and then pretty much right at midnight, 11:58 or whatever, I stood up and basically try to get a hold of them and like, hey guys, be quiet. Like, hey, if you can't stop drumming, go over there. Like started screaming at them. And thankfully they did fall silent, or else, well, you never know what will happen on Mount Shasta. There have been some crazy things up there. I heard someone got hit in the head with a frying pan once. So, yeah. If you're doing like, I don't, you came to troll me and you're an agent, you're an asset. Like, I'm not gonna stand in the way of you getting hit in the head with a frying pan. I'm just saying, like, you came here to troll me as a grown adult. Like, go somewhere else. What's your issue? So the only other kind of like interesting thing happened was when it was kind of later in the night, and I have these string lights on over my tables that obviously light up the tables with food and everything on it, where I'm cooking and people are getting their plates and stuff. And this lady basically came up and was like, can you turn the lights off? It's really bright and I'm trying to sleep and I'm trying to look at Mount Shasta. I'm like, well, first of all, are you trying to sleep or are you trying to look at Mount Shasta? Or like, what are you actually doing? Because what you're saying is contradictive. But basically, they weren't really even being nice about it. They were kind of demanding in a Tony way. And Jason actually was just like, no, I mean, well, I assume that you mean no. And I was like, yeah, I mean, I really don't want to turn the lights on. Like, they're something that I love about this buffet setup. The mountain is huge. You could literally go and lay down, 30 feet over there and be completely away from my lights. So why are you going to lay right down beside me and then ask me to turn off my lights? That doesn't make any sense. This mountain is huge. So yeah, no. So that was kind of that for a little while. She left, then came back, and then right before I started to pack up my stuff, they went over and started messing with the lights. Like the lights, all of a sudden, I'm just sitting here talking, and all of a sudden, the lights just start to flash on and off. So there's like multiple modes on the lights. They can either turn off, obviously, or they can start flashing. It's actually quite annoying. I don't even know why they would make that function. Um, but basically, that kind of just set off some drama because I was like, "Why are you touching my stuff? Like, who gave you permission to do this?" And she was like, "Oh, well, they said," and I'm just like, "Who's they?" Because they aren't the owners of these lights. And then she's like, "Should we take a vote?" And I'm like, "This is not a democracy. It doesn't matter what the mob rule is. It doesn't matter because I'm going to trump it because these are my things. If you don't like it, the mountain is huge. Go away." I really don't understand why people are like this. And I just feel like the ones that do these types of things are shills and agents and inverts because normal humans like a normal human's gonna come up and stumble upon me on Mount Shasta and be like, "Wow, you're like giving out everybody, you're giving everyone free food." Like, yeah, I'll stay silent for a minute for you to talk. Like, I'll I'll be nice to you in general. I'm not going to cause any issues. That's like just a normal human thing to do. So when you have these kind of troublemakers, then it's extremely suspicious. So yeah, at first before the whole thing even started, it kind of looked like there was going to be two fires with the community being over on another fire area. And there did end up being a small fire over there like towards the end of the night with some other people, but it was a very small group. And someone came over to me and basically asked me, they said, on behalf of the person that hates me, um can the group join together tonight and we have one big fire as one Mount Shasta family essentially. And I was like, yeah, as long as it's vegan. Like that's my only rule, is that it has to be vegan, and I'm going to speak at midnight. So if they can follow those two rules, they can come and enjoy the huge fire that I make the biggest fires on Mount Shasta. I am the only one that I know of that brings a huge buffet of free food to share with everybody, and does what I do. So, um, yeah. And they actually, the person that hated me or hates, I'm not sure what it is anymore, ended up not even coming. And so the community came over to my side, but that person didn't. So I'm not really sure what happened with that. But I definitely take it as a success that there wasn't any drama with that. Um, and I mean, essentially, that I didn't have to fight them. I obviously, like I said, as long as it's vegan, you guys are welcome to come in. Unfortunately, I'm not sitting there nitpicking all of the things that I personally don't approve of. I mean, people do whatever they want, like on the drug front. And I've already told you before that this specific individual basically will pass out sheets of acid, and like once everyone's dosed up, they'll throw the remaining sheet into the fire. Like who does that? Besides for a CIA asset or someone in these government control positions that does that. Um, I really don't want those kinds of things happening at my events under my watch, with people getting, you know, really messed up. But obviously, I'm not micromanaging and watching everyone. So I guess the best that I can do in that situation is hope that if someone was in a unhealthy mental state because of this, that they would find me and I would be able to take care of them. And basically, give them water and try to get them some food and make sure that they're okay. Because that's just really my maternal instincts. Like I've said before, I'm not like against these types of drugs and stuff, but I think that you should know what you're getting into. Like go do it at home by yourself, like with someone that'll babysit you first, so that you're not in an unfamiliar place doing things that you're not familiar with, potentially making a fool out of yourself, like doing compromising things. Like I don't approve of that personally. So yeah, I really dislike when that happens. Anyways, Was there a fire marshal there? There were probably undercover Forest Service, fire people, cops and the whole 9 yards. But no one was in uniform. Thanks, guys, for joining in the live chat. I'm trying to think of any of the other things that happened throughout the night. Oh yeah, this guy named Ton was live streaming. He's actually at one of my events like a few years back when we were at Bunny Flats and like at the gate of Bunny Flats. Not when I packed up on the hill with the Battle of Bunny Flats, but before that. And apparently he had been streaming for like 20 days straight, and I was part, or 19 or 20, this might have been the 20th day. And so I got to be part of his live stream. And so shout out to him. And if anybody is here from his channel, then hello. It was kind of interesting to see the difference between being shadow banned and not being shadow banned, being on someone else's channel live streaming with just you can't even keep up with the chat. It's just as I answer one person and it's like 10 swipes down the line. So I'm like, wow, that's such a crazy difference that, people that aren't focused on the topics that I am get that kind of exposure. It's kind of crazy. So anyways, I don't think there's anything much more to say about that. But I may have convinced Jason that the earth is flat, and maybe Shayna too. I'll have to follow up with her. But I took my Nikon P900 up there and we were looking at the stars and it was really cool. So vegan, flat earth, Mount Shasta community. Woohoo! Pretty exciting to see these types of things coming together. The Shasta vegan community in particular, meeting new vegans, especially vegans that are, militant vegans that are willing to actually do things about veganism rather than just, sit and talk. That is really exciting to me. So yeah, if that is you, I would definitely love to meet you on the mountain sometime. You should come out to one of my full moon celebrations and meet me and the rest of those that are here. Someone was saying earlier it sounds like a bunch of hippies. Yes. The community basically is a bunch of hippies. And yeah, I actually get labeled a hippie, but by definition, it talks about people that live in communes, which personally I'm a nudist. So I'm not against you living in a commune, but I'm not going to live in a commune. It talks about people being peaceful, and I'm over here reading scriptures to you about battlefield and fighting. So I don't know why anybody would actually think that I'm a hippie. Other than the fact that I host full moon celebrations on Mount Shasta, and that really has nothing to do with being a hippie. So, yeah. Basically, we go up to the highest point, which is Old Ski Bowl. It used to be a ski resort lodge or whatever. I'm not really whatever. What's actually the difference? But anyway, so now it's like a really large plain essentially, and there's barely any trees at all. Pretty much all just rocks and the asphalt pavement, and just where we have the fire is the highest point that you can drive to. So naturally, a lot of people come there, and when the whole community is up there, boy, you probably will not find a parking spot. These people pack it in so crazy. It's interesting. I actually kind of hope that they're parked like that when you come, Kyle, just so that you can see how crazy the parking lot can get when they're in there. It's pretty interesting. Adam and Eve were originally vegan. Yes, they were. I'm going to scan through the chat here, and if I think of anything else from the other night, I will tell you then. Hey, Dan O'Brien. O'Bannon. I just totally slaughtered that. I apologize. Dan, how's it going? um, Abdul A says, isn't veganism a new word? They probably used to call them vegetarians because they eat vegetables. And I mean, like all of our language and a lot of terms have been changed over time to mean things that they didn't before. Either way, we're talking about not eating anything that comes from animals, and definitely not consuming their flesh. So, Danger Man 5, did you see the Barbie Man movie? Yes, I actually did see the Barbie movie, and it was trash. Just one of the one thing that really set me off was these two guys basically saying that they're gonna beach BEACH because they're beach Ken dolls. And they're basically saying, I'm gonna beat you off, and like they're both saying it back and forth to each other, and it's just so inappropriate. And there's like a child sitting behind me, and it was just if that was me, I would like take my kid out of there. I don't know why these people do this, but anyways. High camera resolution is blurry. Well, that kind of sucks because I'm using my HD camera tonight. So it must be the Wi-Fi. At least my Wi-Fi is actually streaming. Would it be better if I went to Ellie's and had the loud background? I don't think so. It's actually pretty nice to be at home. Dave says, yes, you're looking really beautiful. Thank you. I appreciate that. Someone says they're too weak to be vegan. Well, why do you think that? What do you mean you're too weak? You are physically too weak or you're mentally too weak? Because both can be worked on, and neither is an excuse to continue hurting animals. Jim says that he is a militant vegan. I thought I saw that somewhere, right? Yay. Mount Shasta is full of shills. Yes, inverted shills. Yep, exactly. They make fun of and argue with us. Exactly. Mount Shasta is full of these dark forces because Mount Shasta is the root chakra. That's why I am here, because if we can purify the root, then, as I've said a million times, the rest of the tree will follow and purify as well. Once we actually start the golden age here in Mount Shasta, real humans are going to be like, we want some of that, because who wants to sit here and, well, you don't even get to sit. You're on a hamster wheel, working a 9 to 5, trying to make ends meet. You're struggling. You're being crushed down. All of this stuff, and we're offering a golden age where you don't have to do that. You are literally crazy to say no to the golden age just so that you can keep eating animals. So, like, we might need to have some golden age doctors take a psych evaluation of you, because that maybe you need some demons driven out of you, clearly. Why would CIA shills be after you? Because they know who I am. Don't you? Jim says, don't take drugs. Stay sober and with it. Life is much easier sober, definitely. Abdullah A says, have you traced your ancestry? No, but my dad says that I am English royalty, and my mom says that we are German on her side. So once I know like more about my DNA and my blood type and all that kind of stuff, I would definitely be interested in sharing that, because I'm interested in knowing myself. I know that our DNA holds a lot of secrets to who we are and also what we have been before. Our ancestry can be faked. Yes, I agree. It's hard to trust these government websites to give us the truth about anything. So my preference, obviously, is to get it from someone that I actually trust. So we'll see. Kyle, let me see about your link here. I did see that someone might have said something that Gandhi was nonviolent. Is that what was said earlier? Nonviolence is an active force of the highest order, is a sole force of, or the power of Godhead within us. Imperfect man cannot grasp the whole of what that essence. It's kind of interesting because, like, one of the other verses in here, it actually says, for one of these protectors of the innocent to be in the battlefield and to become nonviolent is the philosophy of fools. Like I said, that they're talking about these warriors who give protection from harm. So, these religious fighters who are actually, we're in a spiritual battle. So, yes. I really personally can't agree with that. But I'll leave up the tab so I can read the actual thing later. Duty says Queen makes the biggest fires on Mount Shasta. Yes, I do. Sometimes the logs are like, you can't even, obviously this doesn't look very big because you're on a computer screen, but I'm saying like they're like the size of small trees, but they're obviously really thick. So yeah, it burns really big and really bright, and it burns all through the night. Woo! When will this movement become mainstream? Well, the mainstream is controlled. So for right now, it seems like they're trying to, control it and keep a pin on it so that the world doesn't know. But once it becomes too much to handle, then they'll probably try to flip it in another way and, demonize it and then present it to the world. Do y'all have guns? Yeah, boy. What are you talking about? Don't you? Danger 5. Did you say you're a nudist? Yes, I am. Isn't nudism against Jesus? Why would let me just specify. I'm a nudist at home. I'm not a nudist in public. I don't want to see other people naked, nude. So I'm not like someone that's going to go to like a nude beach or anything. But at home I am. I don't want to be like oh yeah, Kyle. So what's the thing that you want to ask? Okay. So Kyle, it actually has to do with the midnight festivities on the next full moon event. If you are interested in maybe like preparing a little bit of a speech or something to say at midnight after I do, I was basically looking to ask you and Jason and Shayna to potentially say a few words so that we can basically have a united vegan message. So let me know if you are interested. That would be really cool. Hey, David, how's it going? David, how do you say your last name? Aranguren. Okay, I'm not going to even try that. David A. Abdullah A says, didn't Abel and Cain sacrifice a lamb and a bunch of wheat? Well, there is multiple different translations of this story, but the one that I think I maybe found the Essenes. I actually don't really know where I found this one. But basically, the concept was that one brought a lamb and one brought this basket of fruit, basically. And when they went back, the lamb had run away and only the fruit remained. So they basically were confused into thinking that God accepted the lamb sacrifice and not the fruit because the fruit was still left there. So, God took the goat or lamb and all of that. But obviously, this has been, twisted into a completely different blood cult that is unrelated to the original, religion of the creator, which he hates hands that shed innocent blood. So all of this animal sacrifice and business, forgiving black magic, forgiving sins for killing innocents is literally satanic. So, and we can definitely get more into that. I have a lot of literature and stuff that's pretty much been my focus since my awakening. Like, I found out about flat Earth in 2015, and pretty much as soon as I saw the thumbnail for Mark Sargent's Under the Dome full documentary, I was like, wow, that looks like that makes so much more sense. And then, I watched the video, and before the video, I accepted flat Earth so quickly. It wasn't a thing for me. And I basically moved on. I'm really focused on the spiritual, like finding scriptures, and ultimately that's what led me to veganism. So I'm very grateful for that, and I think that different religions all have, some truth to them to be picked from. So I might not agree with everything that are in these books, but I definitely really love the violence and this about doing what your soul came here to do, the actual battle that your soul is here for, because we are in a spiritual battle, and we are in a battle with ourselves as well, right? The light and dark aspects of ourselves battling each other to see who will win and what you will do with this lifetime, what you will become. Will you let the dark side win and continue ultimately down this path towards the new world order, or will we all embrace the light and go towards a golden age? That's making me really excited. So hopefully that makes you happy and excited, and that's what your soul feels pulled to do, to purify and become the best version of yourself possible. So, woohoo. Okay. Hey, Lewis, greetings. How are you? The English royalty is Germany. Okay. Nelson Mandela was nonviolent as well. I don't follow Nelson Mandela, so that's interesting, but okay. Kyle is saying ahisma, how do you say this? Is linked to veganism. Just showing veganism has been there a long time. Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. It definitely makes sense with the concept of that. So Abdullah A says big food is the enemy, and I remind you of Fergie. It's kind of funny because the other day I was telling someone, like, if someone, like, when you're asleep and someone compliments you and is like, oh, you look like such a celebrity, then you're like, oh, thank you. But then when you're awake and you know that that's like a man in a dress, you're just like, I'm sure they find that as a compliment, but I can't really say that I find it as a compliment, but anyways. Aspect 761 says I'm nudist at home, and Danger Man says I'm nudist in the shower. Okay, well that's good. Why don't you get in with your clothes on though? You could wash them at the same time. Just kidding, guys. David D says it burns big, it burns bright, burn through the night. Exactly. Jim says, nice. I love big, long fires. I'm an expert fire starter and log burner, and I barbecue vegan every night and start fires easily now after doing it for so long. Awesome. I love fires that burn all night. Yes, I do too. It is especially my favorite when we actually get to sit and talk around the fire and not, the community's fires are a lot of times just extremely loud drumming and dancing and behavior like that. Basically, a lot of, unfortunately, mindless behavior. It's not really people are coming for like this spiritual experience, and then they think that dropping acid and dancing around a campfire is it. And it's extremely shallow and quite sad to witness, actually. Yeah. There's like one or two people that were actually curious about flat Earth, and I overheard them talking, and they were asking a globetard what flat earthers believe. And I'm just like, why don't you ask a flat earther what a flat earther believes? And they basically just ignored me and went back to talking to this. They're like, no, all flat earthers believe the same thing. And I'm just like, why are you going to someone who doesn't even believe it to ask them what we believe? It makes no sense. So it was very frustrating. It's really nice though when people are ready for the truth and open-minded to it. And yeah. Jim says nude is the way we were born, and it's okay to be nude if you're innocent at heart. Well, I definitely agree, but like I said, everyone should stay clothed in public because you can't unsee these things, and I do not want to see other people naked. Like, please. It's also really creepy when there are children around, and there are apparently there's apparently a swim hole around here that like people go to that's nudists, and they take children, and it's like I've read people's comments about pedophiles and stuff. I'm just like, how why would you want to take your children to these places? It's just weird. Anyways, Dangerman5 says, I'm skeptical of flat Earth. Well, the one thing that makes flat Earth flat is the fact that there's no curvature to make it a giant spinning ball. And plus, just think about it logically. You're taught that you're like up, walking up here like this, and that people are on the bottom of Australia upside down in relation to you. I mean, I guess I'm assuming that you're living where I do, but upside down people, that's really silly. It doesn't really, make sense. On flat Earth, we're all on the actual stationary plane over here in America, over here in Australia, like we're all under the same dome. So it just really makes a lot more sense. So I definitely challenge you to look into it. And come on to Mount Shasta and I'll show you what the stars look like so that you can see that they're underwater, not in space like we've been taught. Abdul A wants to share people's thoughts on roadkill from non-vegans. Please don't, because I really don't want to hear non-vegans' opinions. I don't understand why non-vegans even, like, why are you complaining about eating crickets? You literally eat bird droppings, you eat pig butt, pig like eats its own feces. Like, your taste buds are so messed up that rejecting crickets and grasshoppers doesn't even make sense. You eat the most disgusting things anyways. It just, yeah, I'm definitely not promoting eating bugs or anything. I'm saying stop doing all of it. Like, we are gods and goddesses in these bodies, and you can either make yourself look like a clown or you can make yourself look divine. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to look like a clown. I want to look like more of a goddess. I want to act like that. I want to do the things that a goddess does. Like, I don't want to be eating clown food. So hopefully you feel the same way and you're like, I don't want to be eating clown food either. And that's why we're all here together, because we want to purify. Woo! Jim says, if you don't know the earth is flat, you need to do more research. Yes. Kyle says the earth is flat. There's nothing to be skeptical about. Exactly. Fire is a spiritual experience without drugs. I agree, Jim. Abdul AI really don't focus on shadow integration. There is, I don't know, I think there's a lot of confusion in there with demonic entities and demonic forces that integrate themselves into us and can confuse us into thinking that they are us and that our thoughts, or that their words, are our thoughts, and their cravings are our craving. Like, they can really confuse us about this. So it's kind of a more complex topic that I'm not really wanting to talk about tonight. So we'll have to talk about it a different time. Jim says, I love to sit around fire and talk about flat earth. Me too. All right. Kyle says, maybe I should bring a piece of paper that says flat earth to the next full moon celebration and smack people with it. That is hilarious. Then you can say you flat smacked everyone on Mount Shasta. That's really funny. Santa and Satan are anagrams. Yes. And Santa Claus is kind of a mockery of God as well, because it's, the North Pole is where God's throne is. God's the one who sees you when you're sleeping and knows when you're awake. He will, reward you if you're good. You're going to get punished if you're bad. But really, God's not like the punisher. First of all, natural consequence is kind of like the way that it oftentimes is, which is kind of reminded me of Montessori parenting, because you don't really like do unnatural, you give the children natural consequences for their actions. Like, if they stay up too late, they're going to be tired the next day. It's like, then you tell them, this is why, and these are natural consequences to your actions. When you consume the wrong diet, you get diseases. These are natural consequences to your actions. God's not punishing you. You're doing it to yourself, not, leaving out the demons that are there egging you on to do it and happily, helping the disease fester within your body. But yeah, these, what we refer to as demons, are basically acting as the karma for your evil deeds. And if you stop doing the evil, then they'll stop doing what they're doing to you. It's really quite simple. But it starts with you. Someone on my Facebook was like, "Oh, I think humans will always farm as long as they're being farmed." It's like, you don't get the fundamental problem here. It's that humans need to say, "We started this and we will stop it." You humans, we humans, like you as a human, started this whole mess by enslaving animals in the first place. Then those that farm you have justification. You can't just say, "We're going to keep doing it because you're doing it," because they're doing it because you're doing it. You see the problem. You have to stop and they will stop. They're not racking up bad karma. They're actually being the bad karma for you. So, you're the one that's, it only makes logical sense for you to stop once you realize what situation you're in. Dave G says that Santa, Satan. Yes, all a big joke. NASA always says T minus because their name is Satan minus the T. Yes. Backwards and inverted, right? Twisted around. NASA, Satan. Definitely inverted there. Perhaps Earth is a simulation. Well, we are inside of the mother. She is all physical reality, and it is, this electric type of universe, world, realm. But that being said, it's not like Mother Earth is not a computer. Like, she is an actual entity. She is a soul. And she, wants to do all of this because she wants to gain wisdom. But obviously, like, even if you want wisdom, you're gonna be probably not choosing to be a hell on earth all of the time. Like, you're open to it a little bit for some wisdom, but that's not actually what you want to be. You would prefer to be the paradise on earth where all the souls inside are happy, and like, because she feels all of the pain, all of the joy, all of the excitement, all of the suffering that every piece of physical matter is feeling. So if that was you, if you felt the literal pain of the whole world, would you want the world to be a hell where every being is suffering? Or would you want the world to be a paradise, a heaven, a golden age where all of the beings are free? It's pretty much a no-brainer for me. So I'll let you fill in the answer. All right. Jim says flat earth has no curvature in seas and oceans lay level, and we use a spirit level to build things, and we're not spinning, and China and Australia are not down under us. Yeah, something like that. The whole concept of, like, if you're on the top of the ball and you dig a hole down, 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 and then you were coming out on the other side of the earth, like into Australia, you would come out like feet first or flip around in the middle and then be digging up. Like, it doesn't even make any sense. So anyways, Jim says, "Who cares to hear what non-vegans have to say?" I agree. Exactly. That's hilarious. Jim says, "Yes, Kyle, that's called flat smacking, literally." Aspect 761 says, "So how did Inanna seize Shasta?" Well, like, actually, David, I kind of read a little bit ahead. David says she sees the circle, forced to fire, forced veganism, and forced silence at midnight. That is how she sees control of Shasta. Exactly. Yes. Abdullah A, I hope that you're not actually saying bacon as in those people online that say bacon is justification to kill animals, because that would tell me that you're possessed with the bacon demon, and that's a sad thing. The bacon demon is the one that possesses people to say that. Like, why would a human even just randomly say that if they weren't possessed? Anyways, Aspect, so you like to pay for the torture, abuse, and murder of pigs and chickens. What a shame. Well, that was Abdullah, unless Aspect deleted their thing. So, Abdullah A says, aren't we being the bad karma for herbivores eating insects? Cows, like, don't, they're not primarily insect eaters. They eat grass, they eat plants, they eat not insects. And no, you're not being the karma for any of them. They're not doing anything wrong. Cows don't kill. They're not doing anything wrong. If they accidentally have an insect on a piece of leaf that they ate, it's not that they were intentionally looking to eat insects. That was an accident. So there's a huge difference between an intentional killing and unintentional. So it needs to be judged that way. Hey JD, how's it going? Good evening, Queen. Weekend is here. Whoop whoop. Yeah, I'm actually just started a fast. I'm probably going to stick with tea and water for this fast, a 24-hour just for the Sabbath. So yeah. When are the diamond and platinum ages coming? I'm not really sure. I'm here for the golden age. Gold is actually, well, pure gold is what was channeled to me that the firmament is made out of. That's why the Beatles say we're in the yellow submarine, because it's gold, get it? But if you were actually to heat gold up to like as hot, it's hotter than anything that humans have the ability to do. We don't have access to this advanced technology, but they say that if you heat this up to extreme temperatures, the color will all actually go out of it and it'll become clear. So it becomes very clear and very hard, and that is why God used it to make the firmament. So that is pretty cool. And actually, Revelation in 2 different places it talks about transparent glass, streets of gold that were like transparent glass. So, yes. JG says they say the center is an iron ball. LOL, how could they possibly know that exactly? Especially when the deepest hole dug is it 7 or 8 miles? It is not. It's not even 10 miles deep. So. And then they're trying to say that all of these, they have all these truths about our world when it's not even possible for them to have the truths about their own world. But it is a very well packaged web of lies, and a lot of people have trouble breaking out of them. So, as I'm sure that you guys all know, I kind of, I became a flat earther in 2015, and at this point, it's like if you want to fight, I hesitate to fight with people because, like, if you want to fight, then you're not coming here to learn something. You're just going to be combative, and you're not like nothing's going to change in this situation. So it's kind of like you have to be ready to change your mind with the facts before you can even have a discussion, and that's not what an argument really is these days, at least. Abdullah A says, personally, I feel extremely uncomfortable about the whole we are gods and goddesses thing. Well, the Christ said it, and it's in Psalm, and the Gnostics, like myself, believe it as well. I can't apologize if that makes you uncomfortable. Animal eating makes me uncomfortable, and I think that's much worse of a crime than saying that you're divine. Commercial sound and video, how's it going? Queen Weekend is here. Whoop whoop. Yes. Kyle says humans are actually frugivores. Exactly. Abdullah A says, but chickens deliberately eat insects. Chickens eat just about anything. Well, are we also talking about domesticated animals that are broken, like pigs that eat anything because they're, domesticated and broken? Yeah, chickens are pretty vicious. Well, especially the ones that are domesticated, I don't blame them. If you stuck me into a cage and basically like forced me to lay eggs or were milking me or any of this thing, like I'm already vicious as a human. Like you think that I wouldn't be vicious as an animal doing those things. I'm the cow that fights back. I'm the cow that's going to give the farmer, like, hopefully put him in the hospital. Maybe. Maybe even send him to meet his creator. I can't even apologize for saying that because farmers kill and hurt animals. So, like, if they weren't here, it would make the world a better place. I can't defend your life if you literally are a demon making this world hell. Like, scoot on, get to stepping. We're trying to make a golden age here, so thank you for the links, Kyle. But yeah, anyways, Abdullah A, as far as chickens go, you are not here to act as karma for the insects because you probably are responsible for insects dying too. I mean, are you even vegan? How are you going to be the karma for chickens eating insects when you probably eat insects? You eat fruit, you eat plants, you eat chicken. You're not the karma for anybody. Yes. So, anyways, demons aren't even these entities that we refer to as demons. Jinn don't even have to eat like food of flesh. So, like they don't even have this, log in their eye when it comes to judging us, whereas non-vegans have a huge plank in their eye and they want to try to say, oh well, if you run over a tractor with a mouse, you run over a mouse with a tractor, then I'm gonna keep raping animals because of the speck in your eye or something. It's just like so frustrating to go vegan sometimes, but it is the only way out of this mess. The frustrating part is dealing with the humans that are not vegan, not actually being vegan. For me, it's a moral issue, and I went vegan immediately. So, but almond farming killed like 1 billion bees last year. Do you eat almonds? Do you? Because I personally don't. And I actually don't agree with the farming mechanisms that are going on around our world. So I don't feel responsible for almond farming in the least bit. I'm actually trying to, once everything settles down, it's kind of like I want to do things, but then I keep having all of these events. I had 2 full moon events this month, and they're hundreds of dollars each. I just got a new Jeep. I had to register for like, it was over $800 to register that stinking thing, which I love it, but it's very expensive. And it's like one thing after another. And my ideal desire is to actually go to various farmers markets and find someone that is selling fruit that's not grown with manure. People that actually agree with my principles and basically just transitioning to only eating whatever the heck that I can find from them. So that is my goal. And yes. Ooh, Abdullah A says I do eat almonds from time to time. So you're guilty. Yeah. And plus, if you eat honey, then you shouldn't be like complaining about bees dying anyways. Non-vegans don't even make any sense. Like these people that will like stop using straws to save fish but won't stop eating fish to save fish, or any of these like really logical things. It just doesn't make any sense. Jim says that farming is wrong. Yes, all animal and fowl ate from the tree of life in the beginning. Exactly. Even the lions were vegan. Don't use fertilizers or enslave cows for their dung. Ugh. Why am I against manure? Because growing in feces is disgusting. Like, people have been desensitized to thinking that the most disgusting things are okay. And do you have a child? I don't know about you, but I like to think of, if my child was doing this, would I be okay with that? And that's kind of a lot of times how I judge these things. If my child went up to a pile of feces and just ate a berry out of that, would I be disgusted? Yeah. So why would I want to grow my food out of that? It's disgusting. But those that are trying to degrade and corrupt these gods and goddesses have convinced us that we should be like pigs eating feces and behave in manners that make us laughed at. That, I mean, obviously, I'm not like worried about peer pressure, but like I've said before, like, we're on the world stage and there are watchers watching you, and your soul should be embarrassed if you are doing embarrassing things. Like, you should want, like, I mean, I guess maybe this might just be my soul projecting, but like, you really should want to be the best version that you can so that you're not being mocked, and like, you're something that your soul can be proud of. I don't know why other people wouldn't feel that way. Why you would want to be a clown. So yeah, stop doing clown-like behaviors. Like pretty much everything that you were taught to do, you should rethink and go with your gut feeling of thinking of eating something out of a pile of manure. It's disgusting. So, um, anyways, where does the manure go? Well, the problem really is that uh, these huge farming operations are, trapping all of these animals in an unnatural. If they were wild animals, there wouldn't be this issue. There wouldn't be huge amounts of these ponds and stuff. I've seen disgusting. I don't even want to think about how much like of this stuff, nasty waste has like seeped into like the water systems and ugh, so gross because it's unnatural. And so we need to stop the root of the problem to begin with, and stop dealing with manure at all. Like we're not, it's just disgusting. Why are we messing with this stuff? There's so many as far as fertilizers go, and other like things. They make something, well, they don't make it, but there are certain plants that can be grown to use as green, what they call is green manure. But it's all plants, and they're specifically grown to act in this manner to be fertilizer for the plants. And you can even use like kitchen scraps and compost and different things to grow food that you don't need to be doing it in anything that has to do with waste. So let's get off of this topic here. Um, the point that non-vegans made is that farming almonds for almond milk has killed more bees than dairy farming has killed animals. I am not sure about that. Um, I don't know about the statistics, but the bees that are killed for almonds are, I mean, I actually don't even, are they shipped in or whatever? I'm not sure what, like, I don't eat almonds, so I haven't looked into what the issue with almonds is. Um, but trying to justify anything that comes off of a dairy farm, they literally rape cows, okay? So anything compared to that, like you're trying to say, oh, there are more bees killed, there are more mice ran over by the tractors than there are animals killed. Those animals are being intentionally raped into existence. They're being used. Their babies are being separated from them so that you can suck them dry of milk. And you want to really compare that to bees dying? Really? What does Inanna think of marshmallows? Marshmallows are not vegan usually. I think they have like pig fat or something in them. But they do make vegan marshmallows, and in years past, I have had them. I don't really want to do too much store-bought stuff at my events, but sometimes I do get the store-bought marshmallows to make s'mores, but they don't really melt that well. So, yeah, I don't know. That's my thinking about s'mores. Um, I'm not really sure how to say what kind of moss that is, but that's not really surprising that a type of moss is a good fertilizer as well. Um, I really like the permaculture guilds and how different plants can add to each other as well in that manner. We definitely need to return to that. I have a vision of a supermarket that has a greenhouse attached with this orchard that you can walk through, and every tree has different berries and all this stuff like surrounding it that you can just walk through and pick your own stuff. It'd be really awesome. Who are we to value cow life over bee life? Bees don't have a pineal gland. They don't have. Do they have a pineal gland? I don't believe that bees have a pineal gland. Do bees have a pineal gland? Yeah, I'm pretty sure that they don't. But let's just look, because I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. Invertebrates such as insects do not have a pineal gland. They do not have an individual soul inside. Um, they're not even treated like cows. So Yeah. That being said, like the treatment of these cows is completely different treatment than bees. But that being said, they do artificially inseminate bees and do stuff like that as well to bees. It's wrong in both cases. I'm not saying that either one is right, but I'm saying that if you want to try to point to a bee dying over a cow being raped on a dairy farm and having their baby taken from them, in that cycle repeating over and over again until she can't have any more babies and produce milk, then she gets slaughtered for meat. That's how would you like to be raped? Like, no one wants that. So the whole concept is like extremely irritating, and people like just want to dismiss this whole like dismiss it and not even think about where their food comes from. It's so frustrating. At the end of the day, which life is considered more precious and valuable? Um, yeah, I mean, yeah, like Kyle said, the point is just to value all life over taste buds. Just leave the animals alone. I love bees and butterflies, Aspect says. That's cool. I think my favorite animal right now is cows and lions. And they've actually been that for quite some time, so I don't really see them changing anytime soon. Um, but yeah, it's not really here to sit and say this animal is abused more or this animal is abused less. It's the point is that there's animals being abused and we need to stop it immediately. Um, and that's about it. So, monoculture is harmful. Yes, plant culture is very harmful for depleting all of the nutrients and stuff from the soil. And obviously, it is a lot more easier on their commercial endeavors to not have this like permaculture guild that I'm basically describing. They just have a whole field of the same thing, a whole field of banana trees, a whole field of one product, then they can just, plow through or move through it really quickly. And yeah, so it definitely sucks that so much is focused on money, and it definitely needs to change. So humans can eat and live for free, and so can animals, because humans don't deserve to be free if they enslave animals. So Jim says bees hum and fly using magical quality. All animals, including bees, should be left alone and admired for their magical qualities. Yes, bees actually levitate using levitation magica like hummingbirds rather than like regular. Well, I shouldn't say regular, as if they're irregular. Like other birds that have to flap their wings to get going. And it's very interesting to look into like levitation magica, and actually that being how airplanes work, right? The jet fuel hoax, I almost said jet plane hoax, but the jet fuel hoax, and how they basically say that these airplanes are carrying enormous amounts of fuel when like there's not even room for that much fuel on the airplanes. So yeah, it's everything that we've been taught pretty much is a lie, an inversion of the truth. Why do most Christians say God put the animals here for us to eat? Well, in Genesis 1, what, 27, 28. Anyways, it says, have dominion over the animals. And then in 29, immediately following after, that says that we have dominion over the animals, it says to be vegan. But, Christians basically like to skip all of the 1 through 27. Don't talk about flat earth. Well, they do actually admit creation, but they don't talk about flat earth parts of that, right? They basically skip to God created the trees and the humans, and we have dominion over them. And then they skip the vegan part. They skip to the part where it basically says, everything that moves shall be food to you. In Genesis, after the flood, everything, now we're eating everything. Paul says that you can eat anything. If you abstain from eating flesh, then you're falling to the doctrines of demons. Can you imagine calling God's perfect diet a doctrine of demons? I mean, Paul had some audacity. If these things actually did come from Paul, calling God's diet a doctrine of demons, calling Christ and his apostles weak in faith for eating only vegetables, for eating God's diet. Ooh, that guy. Well, I'm not even sure that Paul was a real male, but I don't have any real pictures of Paul to actually transvestigate. Definitely a Roman asset at the very least. So the powers that be have been using these, assets and agents throughout time. It's nothing new. It's not new to America. It's not new to the CIA. There's nothing new under the sun, right? Bees fly using sound-based levitation. Planes use the same technology. Why there's so little fuel in these giant jumbo jets? Exactly, David. Great minds think alike there. Abdullah, I thought that said, for a second, I thought that said against the Bigfoot industry. We stand against the Bigfoot industry. Yes. There's actually a lot of people around here that believe in Bigfoot. There's even a Bigfoot museum, so yeah. Boop, boop, boop. Inanna, I love your knowledge. Oh, thank you, Jim. Aspect says I like bees, butterflies, and lizards in spring. Yes. Kyle says Genesis 1:29. Yeah, that's the vegan one, but I wasn't sure about the Dominion one. I think is it 28 or 27? I wasn't really sure. Abdullah A says controversial opinion, monoculture can be harmful against animals, like for example, the destruction of their habitats. Yes, definitely agree. Jim says the Bible is wrong and written by Freemasons. Wake up. Well, I would definitely say written by inverts. I don't personally blame the Freemasons. Pretty much, like, that's not my. I think Freemasonry has been infiltrated and corrupted for a very long time. But there are some inverts that are Freemasons and some Freemasons that aren't inverts. So it's kind of not like a cut and dry thing. I tend to just blame the satanic inverts. And so that kind of covers them in any of the groups that they're in, whether they're Freemasons or Jesuits or, pretending to be Christians or pretending to be atheists or just flat out Satanists. Inverts are all satanic by default, whether they admit it or not. Dangerous 5 says, I think we will all be vegan one day, but I don't think Christianity is the best way to get there. Definitely not mainstream Christianity, but this original Christianity is definitely the way to go. And the Essene Gospel of Peace, the Essene, this one's the Gospel of Holy 12. There's also the Essene Humane Gospel of Christ, and these are going to be parts of the Bible that I make one day of my own. But yeah, the Christ is constantly talking about veganism and saying that he came to end the animal sacrifices, and if you don't cease, then the wrath of God will not cease from you. I really like that one. That you can't be holy or know the mysteries of the kingdom if your hands are stained with blood, your mouth is defiled with flesh. So basically, the real teachings of Christ actually align with Genesis 1:29, right? God wanted us to be vegan, and his will never changed. His intent never changed. He hates hands that shed innocent blood. He doesn't want us terrorizing his creatures. God didn't make animals for us. These brothers and sisters in God's household existed long before humans did. We're just the most recent species to show up. We're the aliens. So before you go and say, when the aliens show up in the sky, don't go and say kill the aliens, because they're gonna say, well, you guess what? They were here first, and humans are the aliens. So yeah, keep saying that. Just like you want to get all the crowd to say drain the swamp, and all of these humans are cheering for their own selves to be drained, because to these Satanists, the ones like Trump that are saying drain the swamp, that are leading the chant, their version of drain the swamp means to call humans the swamp of humans, and they trick you into saying what they are saying when you think it's a different meaning. So yeah, I'm not sure how I got off onto that tangent, but yeah, I would highly recommend the Gospel of the Holy 12. It changed my life, and I absolutely love this book. So JD says that they say bananas will go extinct someday. Not enough genetic diversity. Well, it's kind of interesting. I don't really know about bananas, but I do know I was reading recently about cows' genetic diversity, and basically, like, I don't remember what the statistics were, but they said that like so many, the majority of the cows can be traced back to like 2 male cows, and very few female cows. Like they find the male cow and they basically drain him constantly. They collect that and then they put it into a donor cow that the embryos will start growing. They take the embryos out of her and then they sell those to farmers who will impregnate other cows. So it's like a really disgusting rape and kidnap, like you kidnapped from that mother, you put those babies in her, those were her children, like her embryos, you stole them from her, then you put them in this mother, and then when this mother delivered, you stole the baby from her and either killed it if it was a boy, or you waited until she was old enough to repeat the process. These are little baby, these are children, baby cows that are being impregnated. Like as soon as they are old enough, can you imagine if this was happening to humans? Human girls are having their periods at earlier and earlier times now. Can you imagine if the youngest girl, like as soon as female humans were able to conceive, they were raped into conceiving, and then that process is continued until they die? Like if you even think if the culture was different and if it was us, it's appalling. So how can you sit there and justify it with other species? It makes no sense. Kyle says Genesis 1:26 is dominion. Thank you. I really appreciate that. I thought that I had a Bible around here, but I guess I actually do have an amplified Bible, but I have the KJ. Look at how much. This is a very old Bible. You can't even see, but it's like all of this highlighting. And I actually have the same kind of stuff going on in, well, maybe not too much in the Gospel of the Holy 12. But definitely in this book, there's like a ton of really awesome things. So, like I said before, this is the Essene Humane Gospel of Christ, and it is available online. This person who edited the book basically went through and put, different names. I actually don't believe Christ's name. I think that his name should start with YAH, like Yah, like the Father, like Yahshua or Yahushua, like Yah saves, because the prophets like Jeremiah had Yah's name in it. And Christ says, I come in the name of the Father. So it kind of would make sense that it would be Yahushua or Yahshua or whatever. But I actually don't care to fight over what his name is. I only care to fight over what his message is. And it was to go vegan, and to stop doing evil. So that's what really matters. Bananas are one of my favorite food. You can never go wrong with a banana. Bananas are packed with nutrients. Okay, we're having a conversation about bananas now. I actually read that some bananas aren't even the article was saying they weren't vegetarian. Obviously they wouldn't be vegan either. But some of the like insecticides or something that they spray on bananas sometimes have like shellfish or some other oceanic animal mixed in there. So it's really frustrating that so many non-vegan products are like deliberately mixed in, like with wine being filtered with fish bladders, and you'll pick up like a bag of chips or something, and for some reason it has to have milk in it or milk powder, or just like the computers having glue that's non-vegan, just little bits and pieces everywhere so that you basically can't avoid animal abuse, and you can't be a perfect vegan. It's extremely frustrating, but definitely designed that way, on purpose. So, yes. Abdullah AI, believe, don't really, support any of the farming that's going on right now. In the future, we should really replace like wood, as much as possible, stop cutting down the trees. Like, use hemp and other things to replace plastic, and woods and other, to be more sustainable resources for us. So JD says, Queen, is it true that a lot of people go missing on Mount Shasta every year? What is going on there? Well, no one that I know has ever gone missing. I don't, to be honest, I don't really pay attention to like the mainstream news to know what they say on that, in that regard. But I do know that we live in a completely controlled reality, so I don't really believe that people too much go missing, because everything that we do is watched. Like, I don't know what is that, like maybe the Hunger Games or something, where they're all like sitting around a table and they can cause things to happen, and it's just like watching, and the whole game space is essentially laid out and known, right? There's no unknown, there's no hiding. You put on a mask and try to hide your identity from the cameras, but the fact of the matter is that they knew that you left your house. Like, they knew it was you. What are you, who do you think you're hiding from? You're not hiding from anybody. So yeah. God made earth and animals before man. That should tell you something. Exactly, Kyle. I definitely agree. Cows are so mutilated. I think one of the reasons that I just love cows so much is because I definitely feel really guilty because of all the cheese that I ate, and I just really connect with cows, and I want to hug and save them. So it's not all based on my guilt. I sincerely do love cows, and I just think that they're these giant dogs, and they're so precious. And I live next to cows, and I've gone out there and played guitar for them before, but it just made me cry because I was like singing "Come with me and you'll be free," and the cows started running towards me, and I couldn't do anything about it. So it really made me sad. Wild bananas have seeds. Yes, I've seen some interesting pictures with the bananas with those seeds. I'm not sure that I would like them, though, to be honest. I guess it would depend on the texture of the seeds, I guess. I don't know. Jim says, God is a tree. The Godhead lies at the North Pole, Mount Meru. They call the Godhead, and they also call Meru Eden. I've definitely heard that before. It's an interesting allegation that you say God is a tree. I do think that there's a tree there. I'm not sure that God is the tree any more than God is other trees as well. At least the soul connected to plants isn't an individual soul, but yeah. Anyways, Abdullah says the mainstream militant vegans want to drain the swamp. Call cows. Who wants to call cows? I'm not really sure what you mean, but usually vegans basically just want you to stop raping more cows into existence, and we don't want you to kill the cows that are here. Ideally, the place that they're at can just be transformed into a sanctuary. And now, instead of the farmer using and abusing those cows, the farmer gets to become their servant. Now you get to serve them, and you get to make that place paradise. I'm not going to be, enforcing this in the golden age. I'll take the cows and I'll do it. Like, I'll make sure that they're happy. I won't make you be their servant, but seriously, you deserve much worse than being their servant if you are sitting there raping them and separating them from their children and stealing from them. The least that you could do is pamper them and treat them nicely. Hey, Robert, how's it going? Sending blessings to all in these miraculous times. Thank you. I appreciate that. David D says, yes, to invert God's design is to invert his will for us. Your life path, they must invert to join Team Satan. Exactly. Yep. Abdullah, I'm not really sure what age Isaiah was when he became king. JD says, I heard dates have everything we need. Oh, for a second, I thought you were saying dates, and I realized, obviously, there's so many words in the English language that have, multiple meaning, and you have to, think for a second of what the meaning that you're looking for. Anyways, dates have everything we need. You can literally survive on. Dates might get boring though. I'm not particularly a fan of the taste of dates. I heard that you can live off of potatoes though, and that sounds like really awesome to me because I love potatoes. Might some scare stories to keep people away from Mount Shasta? Exactly. Yes. Not only the people going missing, but also that Mount Shasta is a volcano that's going to erupt at any point, which isn't true. She's not a volcano at all. She once was a giant tree. So that doesn't make any sense. But also with all the fires as well, it's constantly wildfire season around here, and even when the fires aren't like in our direct area, the air is really smoky. The laws are getting more strict. There's like a requirement of a multi-thousand-dollar sprinkler system in new houses. The schooling system is getting completely out of hand, especially with the corrupting, LGBTQ PBR agendas going on and being promoted, and the fact that they're passing laws that, like, if you go to family court and the dad supports little Johnny's transition and the mom doesn't, then the dad gets the kid, or if neither one do, then the state will take the kid and transition the kid for you. Like, I'm getting fired up talking about this because it really makes me angry. So yeah, there are a lot of different agendas being used to drive real humans out of this area, for the reason that Mount Shasta is where we need it to come to fight, to the actual root of the problem, and she's back there. Dates are great in fiber and packed with antioxidants. You can actually mix dates with an almond, or not an almond, but vegan milk. I'm not really sure what they particularly recommend off the top of my head, what specific type, but you can make a caramel dip out of it. So I made that like many, many years ago. That's why I can't even remember what kind of milk it calls for, but it's really, really cool what you can make with plants. So Robert says, whatever one chooses to eat, please make sure it is treated in a respectful way. And industrial agriculture of all kinds. Yes, I definitely agree. Animals that are eaten are never treated respectfully. Truly, definitely agree with that. So that means that you have to go vegan. Abdullah A says, have you all heard the theory that Native Americans are the Israelites? No. But I have heard that they are Siberian migrants, that their DNA traces back to Siberia. So, yep, there were giants here before they came, and there are myths and tribal stories that they passed down. I can't think of the word that I'm trying to say, but legends, I guess, of people killing these giants, of their own people killing them. So yeah, very interesting that the history that we're given is not true, and all groups of humans have been persecuted at some point or another and have been involved with evil and killing, and really none of us have any room to complain about anything in the past. What we need to do is focus on the future and really focus on our own deeds. Sitting here and complaining about anything that happened, injustices that happened to you in the past, or like trying to cling on to animal abuse because it's your family's history, like that. I'm thinking of this meme that I just posted today. I want to actually get the real quote that I have here. It says, animal cruelty cannot be excused by one's race or cultural background. You probably can't really see it, but it has all the different, races of human hands around it. And yeah, your race and heritage, your culture does not excuse animal abuse. I don't care where you're from. I don't care what your parents did in the past. I don't care any of it. It doesn't excuse continuing doing it now that you know better. So now you know. And ignorance, you guys, no one that's listening to my voice it has ignorance of this issue anymore. If you are taking from animals, if you are eating their flesh, you are doing evil and you will be judged for it. Before, when you didn't know, you couldn't be judged to the extent that you can be judged now. But now that I'm telling you, and now that you've heard it, now that you know that what you're doing is wrong, if you choose to continue that, you're going to be in even bigger trouble. And that's how it should be. So you're welcome for taking your ignorance away. Exactly. Jim says you will be judged for it. Yeah. Okay. Why do vegans eat imitation foods of non-vegan foods, but the other way around doesn't have? Because most vegans are addicted to non-vegan foods. They want to continue eating these things, but they don't agree with animal suffering. So, light bulb moment, we make the same types of things without hurting animals. Why is that so hard for non-vegans to comprehend? It's like rocket science to them. They act like the puzzle pieces don't fit or something. It's just the most obvious thing. It's because we like the taste of these things because we've been programmed to eat them our whole lives. Like, I honestly, the more that I peer from my diet, I really don't want the taste of these things. So it's really just this addiction and not wanting to hurt animals. So, there it is. Okay. The kids of slaves were used to bait alligators in Florida, supposedly. That is really messed up. I have not heard about that. That is something I have to look into. Crazy. Jim says, I like to recreate the food in a vegan way, like hamburgers, pizza, Mexican food, and calzones, etc. Yes, for my full moon celebrations, I make burgers and I make cheese, and I try to make like a lot of things that basically show people that they can have the things that they're already addicted to in a vegan version. So definitely important to convince people to come to the light side. I want the Queen's Kitchen in the future to have all of these delicious things to help people as well. Yeah. Hey, Amarjeet, how's it going? Hopefully you are doing well. Yes. Jim, you'll have to come out to one of my full moon events like we've been talking about because I make hamburgers and I have a raw taco bar. So I would like to hear your opinion on it. Abdul A says, would y'all eat stem cell beef burgers if cows aren't harmed? Well, how you can't get stem cell beef burgers without cows being harmed. At least, I guess if you're going to take a dead cow and taking the cells from a dead cow, you could make an argument that there's not physical pain in that interaction, but the soul of that cow is still attached to that flesh. So when you take that flesh and then you go and take it into a lab and you start messing with it and you do all sorts of torture mechanisms to that cell to get it to grow your lab grown meat. Oh, and by the way, lab grown meat is like, I don't know if it's all the time with FBS, fetal bovine serum. I actually also heard that they might be using human blood. But either way, I mean, yeah, neither one is good. But FBS, fetal bovine serum, they literally deliberately kill pregnant cow mothers so that they can drain their baby. A painful process. They literally suck the blood out of this baby cow in the name of science. And that is what your lab grown meat is grown in. Evil. Absolutely evil. It's used constantly in the science industry. Tons and tons and tons of FBS is sold. It is a ridiculous thing. And I know for sure that farmers are deliberately impregnating these, cows for profit to send them to slaughter pregnant for more money for the fetal bovine serum. Absolutely evil. So no. And plus, anything made from the stem cells of an animal is not going to be vegan because vegans don't eat animals. So it's still not vegan because it came from an animal. But yeah. I don't know about that rumor about the human blood being used, but yeah, I know for sure they do use fetal bovine serum. So exactly, Jim. There's not stem cell burgers without abusing animals. Abdul A says gladly would become vegan if it's satiating. Well, I've had people tell me that I make the best food that they've ever had. So it's really a matter of being able to spice things. And frankly, most people that eat animals just eat like the same things over and over again. There's like a meme that says like you don't even understand what taste is. Like you just eat rotting flesh, the same rotting flesh meals over and over again. Like you've got no clue what real taste is like. So that's kind of funny. Emergy says, I'm fine. And what about you? Good. I'm glad. Thank you for coming. I'm actually having a very nice evening here. I'll probably wrap it up soon because I've been on here for almost 2 hours. And I plan on going live again on Sundays. So, yes. Jim says, why not just make black bean burger like I do? Well, a lot of people would probably like that. Personally, I don't like beans. So I might not like it. But I make really delicious burgers out of potatoes and carrots, onions, garlic, leek, and they're delicious. So yeah, at the Queen's Kitchen, full disclosure, you're not going to get beans because I don't eat beans, so I'm not going to serve beans. But you can definitely have beans in the Golden Age. I'm not against it. It's just not served at my place. Jim says, yes, your food looks so good, Inanna. I want to eat it if I want to try it badly. Yeah, you got to come out here. So hopefully you can do that in the next coming summer or in the near future. Anyone really that wants to come out and meet me, I will definitely leave you with this message. Doesn't apply here. But if you do come here, like, I'm trying to purify Mount Shasta, and the last thing that I want is people to say that they're coming to meet me and come and corrupt Mount Shasta. So, like, don't come here and be non-vegan. Don't come here and act like an idiot. I've had that happen before. You know who you are. Okay? Like, don't come here and tell people that you're here to support me or to meet me or to don't bring me down with you. I don't need that. I have enough rumors and idiots around here that lie about me that I don't need people that pretend to be my friend coming here and causing issues for me. So, yeah, please, if you're going to come here, then do it like that, okay? Even if you're not vegan, like, be vegan at Mount Shasta. I don't really know why any non-vegans would want to meet me anyways, because I'm like a militant vegan and I don't, at the end of the day, I am fighting so hard for a golden age. So how could you even say that you are really my friend if you are actively fighting against me? Your deeds are acting against what I'm fighting so hard, putting all of this money, putting all of my time, putting all of my effort into. And you are just like, oh, sorry, I can't give up bacon. It's like, so you're not my friend, really. And that's like the least of the worries. Like, you're not a moral person. You're not a compassionate person for animals. Like, there's obviously more things that are worse than not being my friend, but it's still like, don't pretend like you're my friend when you're not my friend. I hate fake friends. I don't like that. I don't like fake people. I'm not, I don't kiss people's butts. I don't pretend to be everyone's friend. I'm not all about love and light. I like that quote that says, like, a friend to all is a friend to none, because there's people around here that pretend they're friends to everybody. It's like, But when they're everything to everybody, when they fit in with everybody and they have all of these different masks and they fit in with everyone, it's like, who's the real you? What are you? I don't like that. So that's not me. David D says fetal bovine serum is the black magic that most of the biotech and cell culture industry uses, and it's absolutely evil. Yes. Kyle says, I can't wait for vegan tacos at the full moon celebration. Woohoo, me either. I'm excited for you to come back and visit, and excited for a lot of things actually that's coming up in this month here. My birthday is in 16 days. On the 17th, I'm going to be 30. I'm really wanting to go more and more raw vegan because I'm like, I want to put off the aging process as long as possible. So I'm definitely going to be pushing more for that in the future, and I would encourage you to come along with me. Abdul A, I'm not sure what Black Rifle Coffee is. JD says, do you have a party on Mount Shasta for New Year? Usually Mount Shasta is covered in snow on New Year. And at the end of October, they actually close the gate that crosses the road off of, at Buddy Flats. So you can't get up all the way to Old Ski Bowl, where we usually host the events. My objective is to go as high up as possible and be at the top, and hope that any of the non-vegans are below me where they belong on the mountain. Actually, I'm hoping that they don't go on the mountain at all, but anyways, we want to be higher than everybody. Jim says, I want to help purify Mount Shasta with you, Inanna. Well, what are you waiting for? We need more boots on the ground here. Amarjeet says, hey, do you know which country has the highest percentage of vegans? JD said India. And Amarjeet said, yes, India, 13%, China, 6%, US, 4%, Germany, 3%, and Brazil's percent is missing, but that's very interesting. Definitely a growing faction, and there's a lot of other people that are coming into veganism through other means, being like health groups and stuff. I mean, obviously veganism itself is about the animals, but if people are going vegan, you know, for other reasons, hopefully it sticks. That's the problem, when people are like thinking that it's about health. And the problem is that, well, one of the problems is that you've probably been eating junk your whole life. So you have a lot of junk to work through in your body. And when you start to actually purify, you're going to experience detox symptoms of all different sorts. And a lot of people start to experience those detox symptoms and they get scared and they run back the other way. And then all their problems go away as soon as they eat a baby. I was trying to rhyme, but anyways, all the problems go away when they do a little bit of black magic, and then they say, oh, my body needed this. It's like, no, your body actually needed to detox, but you listened to the demon inside of you that was causing, you know, you to doubt the truth the path that you were on. So Jim says, you must be vegan to go to Mount Shasta and hang out with the queen. Get real. Yes, bacon is animal murder. Aspect 761 says, what does Inanna think of soy milk? I personally don't drink soy milk. I'm not really a big fan of soy myself, but it's definitely better than cow rape. Anything that comes from a plant is better than taking from an animal. So yeah, usually in my, like, if I have a latte or something, I will drink oat milk. So Jim says bacon is sick and a sin to eat. Yes, I think that all of the animals are sin to eat. JD says 30. I would have guessed you're 24. Well, I appreciate that. 30 is young, but I still like I don't want to age anymore. I think that humans are basically meant to get to like everything's supposed to be extended more because we're supposed to live hundreds of years in vibrant youth. So you're really not supposed to even like start showing signs of aging until you're like multiple hundreds of years old, when you get out of like, you get to your 20s and you're there for a long time. You get to your 40s and you're there for a long time. Like the whole process is very extended because you're supposed to last longer. So I really would encourage you, as I encourage myself, to eat more pure. All right. No one wears leather that's vegan. I do not wear leather. Yes, leather is animal flesh. Exactly. And silk is worm webs. All right. I'm actually going to be getting off of here in just a minute. Abdullah A says that soy milk is estrogenic. Well, it might be phytoestrogenic because phytoestrogen is what is in plants and all of that. But mammalian milk has mammalian estrogen in it, and it comes from cow rape. So if those are the two things that we're comparing, definitely go with the soy milk. JD says, I've always been interested in Indian culture. A really fascinating country, and in my experience meeting Indians, they're very respectful. I definitely agree. I remember like I have a very good memory of going to this Indian restaurant in Salem, Oregon, and the guy was just like open late for me and bending over backwards basically to like make sure that I had a great dining experience. He was extremely hospitable and it was really nice. So I definitely have a very good experience with that as well. Jim says, I'm 55 and I got carded at a concert. Nice. They did not even think I was 21. Wow, that is very impressive. Yeah, I was buying a bottle of wine the other day and the lady carded me and I was like, oh, thank you. I'm feeling very happy with that. As I'm about to turn 30, I'm getting carded. So yeah, I will probably end up going live at some point on my birthday, but like I said, that's quite a while away, September 17th. So you have time to buy me a present still. Just kidding. But it's actually on a Sunday. So look at that. We'll be going live anyways. Sounds good. I plan on going live on Sunday as well. I just kind of wanted to get talking about this full moon celebration and kind of get everything out of the way so that we could talk about other things. So that is the game plan for now. If you are on Facebook, if you're with me, a group of us are doing a group fast for the next 24 hours. Yeah, David, I'm getting off here as well. The next 24 hours, we're doing group purification wherever you're at in your purification journey. If you're not vegan yet, the first step would be going vegan. Or even if you want to make a bigger step, you might choose raw vegan, fruitarian, juicing, water fasting, or even dry fasting. What matters is purifying and taking that step. So I would encourage you to do that with us. And I will catch up with you on Sunday after the fast is over at noon. All right. Thank you guys for joining me. I really had a good time. And what's my idea of a husband? We'll have to save that one for Sunday, Abdullah. You'll have to come back and chat. So, all right, guys. Have a wonderful evening. May God and the goddess bless you.